Hello, friends. We're about halfway through September, and I'm excited to be here with you for my monthly video blog and personal reflection about the world in general. September always brings up interesting stuff for me. Quite often, the month of September includes the Jewish high holidays. I realized last year the holidays didn't even start until October, but that only happens once every 10 to 20 years. So the vast majority of the time, both Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, they fall in the month of September into early October. You know, even though it's almost been 25 years, I can't help but think about 9/11 every year in September. It's not like I dwell on it with any sense of dread, but it was a huge world event, and it changed the way that a lot of people saw things about the world we live in, much like October 7th did just 2 years ago. The thing I notice about big events like these landmark days, though, is that eventually their memories don't have as big of an impact on me as they used to. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not like I in any way intend to diminish the pain or the suffering that so many people have endured in these or any tragedies for that matter. It's just like all grief, time can diminish the intensity. On a lighter note, just like many of you, I associate the month of September with the beginning of classic fall events like apple picking and sweater wearing weather and Vikings football. By the way, did you see the Monday night game last week against the Bears? We won't even talk about last night's game. You know, I know we're still early in the season, but I was feeling pretty good about that young quarterback. He's got a lot of moxie, which, by the way, is the name of my favorite little hotel that I stay at when I visit my hometown. Speaking about my hometown, there are many years when I've traveled back to the Twin Cities to visit my family in September around the high holidays. My favorite pattern is to go back to Minnesota for the New Year and then come back to Chicago for Yom Kippur. There are definitely times when I've been in the Twin Cities for Yom Kippur, but I also really like to be at my home synagogue on Yom Kippur, where I have the freedom to spend the entire day sitting in contemplation and learning. Last year's Yom Kippur was particularly impactful for me because it was 4 days after the 1-year anniversary of the October 7th attacks that I mentioned earlier. I liked being a part of the learning and the many discussions that happened on that day, but I also had to be very mindful, and I felt a little bit guarded because I didn't want to have a false consensus effect that everybody felt the exact same way that I did, even within my own faith community. There are things that I felt in the immediate days after October 7th, 2023, which I thought were black and white truths that have since become a little bit more gray for me over time. I guess what I'm saying is that I always try to keep an open mind, that there could be many perspectives about many things in life. And I think having an open mind about things like that makes it easier to navigate what I believe to be some exceptionally challenging times in human history that we're living in right now, even right here in the sanctuary of my home city of Chicago. So as I head into this fall, I am grateful for all the good things in my life. I am also really excited because I've just finished reading through the entirety of the first draft of my manuscript that I've been talking about so frequently over the last year and a half. There is still a good bit of work to do when it comes to editing and tying up the loose ends, but sometime in the next year or so, I'll be able to say that I'm a published author, and I'll be able to share with you my first ever collection of stories and vignettes that I've been building through the entirety of my life, and in particular in the 44 years that I've been living with multiple sclerosis. As I get closer to entering my 60th year on this planet, starting this December, My greatest hope is to help create peace, prosperity, and healing for others by sharing my stories with humility, humor, and hopefulness. It may seem like a small step in the grand scheme of things, but for someone who didn't even know if she was going to see 16 years old when I was originally diagnosed with MS at age 15, this writing is very much like a Lifetime Achievement Award that I'm giving to myself. And I just can't wait to share it with all of you. Well, that's it for this month. Here's to hoping your September is filled with sweetness and satisfaction. Ciao, ciao for now.